the what if factor. Especially outside the first round, there is a reason why many general managers consider draft picks to be lottery tickets. What if this late first round pick turns into the next David Pasternak? A player that can single-handedly change the future success of a franchise. Because besides the Stanley Cup Finals, the NHL draft is arguably the most exciting spectacle in the NHL, as it injects optimism and just hope in many franchises, and it reinforces the idea of the what if factor. In today's video, we're going to be doing a follow-up video to the biggest disappointment from every draft, and instead we're going to be doing the biggest surprise from every draft of the last decade. So comment down below if your team has ever drafted a player that surprised you by surpassing all expectations. Let me know. And a quick shout out to our sponsor and a giveaway for you guys, which I will be announcing next video, so stay tuned. CardGen makes high quality, custom hockey cards in an assortment of sizes. But in all honesty guys, these cards are awesome. I kind of wish I put my dog on this card instead of me, but I will be doing that in my next order. And to enter the giveaway, if you haven't already, comment down below on my pinned comment what overall you'd make yourself, and toss a like on the video, and go check out CardGen, link is in the description down below, and use code RTH for 10% off your order. We will start in 2010 with Mark Stone, because Stone was a massive draft day surprise. Drafted in the 6th round, 178th overall, Mark Stone today is arguably the best player to come from this entire draft class. So it begs the question, how could 29 other teams completely miss out on Stone's talent? Well, there's many factors. And to start, in his draft year, Stone dealt with the magnitude of injury issues, which wouldn't only keep him out of the lineup for long stretches of time, but it would also affect his game for basically the entire season. So combine his injury issues with suspect skating, it was enough to the point where Stone almost went undrafted. Because what teams didn't realize if they paid a bit more attention is that Stone showed all indications of an elite two-way player. His offense was down due to injuries, but he played a very elite defensive game, on top of having a big motor and a great work ethic. A work ethic that would cause Mark Stone to seeing rapid development in all areas of his game. And 5 years later, Stone would put up a very impressive 64 points in his rookie season. And today, Mark Stone alongside of Brad Marchand are the best two-way wingers in the entire NHL. In 2011, we have Mark Scheifele. And by no means is Scheifele the best player from this draft, as Nikita Kucherov has rightfully taken that title. But what makes Scheifele's case so surprising is that heading into the draft, Mark wasn't even ranked on the majority of scouting lists. So the fact that he goes from outside the top 200 to being drafted in the top 10, well, that's just insane. And what makes Scheifele even more surprising is that some scouts, regardless of his monumental rise, had him in the 2nd round on draft day. So even when he was drafted, people were shocked that Scheifele was taken that high, especially because he was the new 1st round draft pick of the newly reformed Winnipeg Jets. Fortunately though, Scheifele would prove all his doubters wrong. Because today, Scheifele is a legitimate superstar, and a top centerman in the entire NHL. Over a point per game this season, 84 points last season, and considering that he wasn't even ranked by most scouts heading into his draft year, Scheifele was a massive surprise. In 2012, we have Teuvo Teravainen, and Teuvo was a massive draft day faller, because many scouts actually had him in the top 5, but on draft day, he would slide all the way to number 18. Where the Blackhawks would scoop up the potential steal of the entire draft. And while researching for this video and trying to understand why Teuvo fell, the only thing I could find is that Teuvo was physically immature, as he only weighed around 160 pounds on his draft day, and just like Phil Forsberg, some scouts were panicking because they thought they might have been over-scouting Teuvo. And so after 2 years of extra development in Finland, 2 extra inches of height, and about 20 pounds of muscle, Teuvo would enter the NHL. And he'd actually be a big piece in the 2015 Stanley Cup win. However, after only 2 short seasons in Chicago, Teuvo would be included in a cap dump, as the Blackhawks had to get rid of Brian Pickle's contract, and Carolina would eat it up for a potential star. Which of course would be an amazing decision, because Teuvo today is a star. 76 points last season, and at the age of 25, I can only imagine that we keep seeing some more positive progression. As Teravainen has 90 and 100 point upside, especially because Carolina's core is so young and so deadly. In 2013, we have Jake Guentzel. And in retrospect, the 2013 NHL draft was weird. Not even that it was unpredictable, or perhaps there was a lot of buzz, but rather it was the exact opposite. Because more than ever, we consistently saw players panning out. And less than other drafts did we see massive steals. But Jake Guentzel was definitely the exception. Drafted in the 3rd round, Guentzel would spend an extra 3 years seasoning in the NCAA. And when he finally got to the NHL, he would shock the entire hockey world. As he walked in, put up a very impressive 33 points in 40 games as a rookie, and he would light up the playoffs as a rookie with 21 points in 25 games and was a major factor in the Penguins Stanley Cup win. And ever since then, Guentzel has been a very underrated but elite performer. The next season during the playoffs, he would prove his clutchiness, this clutch factor, and put up an unbelievable 21 points in only 12 games. 21. 76 points the next season, and Guentzel coming from the 3rd round was a massive draft surprise. In 2014, we have David Pasternak. And Pasta is a legitimate top 10 talent in the NHL, so the fact that he was stolen at number 24 and proved to be an instant impact player in the NHL, well, it's pretty crazy. And he probably got a lot of scouts either talked to, yelled at, or even fired. Because if Pasternak had decided to play in the CHL in his draft year, without a doubt he does not fall outside the top 10. Because alongside of many other examples, Pasternak fell so hard because he played in Allsvenskan, which is a league a step below the SHL, and during this time period, we were seeing a common trend of scouts not being able to fully understand the talent from this league. Because only months after he was drafted 25th overall, Pasternak would walk into the NHL and put up 27 points in 46 games, which was the best production from any other forward in his draft class. Because around the 25 mark, players usually take up towards 5 years to make the NHL, and throughout his career, his development would prove to be the same. Because this season, Pasta tied Ovi for the most goals in the NHL with 48, and he was on pace for an incredible 111 points. And what makes Pasternak such a massive surprise is the fact that he made such an immediate impact, really reinforcing the fact that he was just overlooked by every other team. In 2015, we have another Hurricane in Sebastian Aho. And the fact that Aho slid all the way to the 2nd round was just absurd. Because not only is Aho one of the best players from this entire draft class, but the fact he fell just didn't make any sense. Because playing in Liga, Aho was an undersized but highly skilled player, who played in the bottom 6 but was still able to produce a very respectable 13 points in 30 games, which this production alone is still pretty impressive. But what teams didn't cue into is that even though he wasn't producing, he was rapidly developing every game, and played extremely well without putting up points. So the fact that most scouts had him in the 4th, if not 5th round, was absurd. Now, the 2015 NHL draft was extremely deep, which was also a major factor here, but today, Sebastian Aho is one of the best up-and-coming talents in the entire NHL. 83 points last season, he's a tremendous playoff performer, and just like Pasternak, the fact that teams overlooked Aho probably made some people lose their job. In 2016, we have PierreLuc Dubois. And Dubois' case isn't that extreme, but heading into his draft, he was ranked in the 5 to 8 range. And fun fact here, I know you guys like fun facts, but it is heavily rumored that if he fell to the Canucks at number 5, Jim Benning was ready to trade him for PK Subban. However, shocking the entire draft day, even though it wasn't a massive jump by any means, Dubois would be scooped up by Columbus at number 3. And this pick was a pretty massive surprise because there basically wasn't a scout that had Dubois over Puljujarvi or Tkachuk. But this pick has proved to be a slam dunk, because Dubois is a stud, 27 goals, 61 points last season, and he is developing a great shutdown game. So even though Columbus passed on players who projected to have a much higher ceiling, Dubois has definitely lived up to his top 3 status. In 2017, we have Elise Patterson. And heading into the 2017 NHL draft, there was a constant theme we heard for months. That is, we knew Nico Hischier and Nolan Patrick were going 1 and 2, but after that, nobody had a clue. And it wasn't a bad thing, but it also wasn't necessarily a good thing, as it almost seemed like this draft was just made up of wildcards, where players like Patterson, Miro Heiskanen, Cale Makar were either going to be busts or franchise players for their respected teams. And only 3 years later, well, what do you know? They are all franchise players. And for someone like Patterson, who some scouts had ranked later in the first round, Patterson has been getting the respect of a potential top 10 player. Which was shocking because many people expected a longer development curve because he lacked that NHL physical stature. But Patterson would walk in, put up 10 goals in his first 10 games, get compared to Gretzky, win the Calder, and is one of the best, if not the best, up-and-coming talent. Because not only does Patterson have elite playmaking ability, an Ovechkin-like one-timer, a Matthews wrister, and what many people don't realize is that Patterson plays an extremely good defensive game that has only been getting better every season. So it's safe to say that Patterson's potential is very scary. But anyways guys, has your team ever drafted a player that surpassed all your expectations? Let me know down below. And press subscribe for some more awesome hockey content. Guys, the support on this channel recently, again, has just been insane. We just hit 25,000 subscribers and it just seems like in a blink of the eye, we're already at 26,000, coming up to 27,000, which is just insane. I appreciate the support so much. Let's keep it going. Hope you guys are all doing well. See you guys later.